under which the spiritualist groups hid. But these are individuals who had political aspirations, specifically Alice Bailey. Yeah. Alice Bailey and her husband were major, movers and shakers within the political upper echelons of the Russell Trust and the British secret establishment.
Yeah.
They had direct relationships to the British royal family and so on and so forth. And Blavatsky never coveted any of these people. She loathed any of that stuff. Absolutely. You never saw her at Buckingham Palace shaking hands with Queen Victoria or any of this nonsense,
Yeah.
She didn't care about any of that.
Yeah.
It's very much like in Islam. They say that when anybody goes to Mecca, Malcolm X found this out when he went, that one thing is, when you go to Mecca, everybody, no matter how rich they are, have to change their clothes, and they wear just a simple white robe, so that nobody has any distinction at the moment when you're going to these great Muslim festivals, in Iran. In Persia, there was always a very ritualistic sort of shedding of your class status before you dare approach, the tomb of the Prophet. So this was an Orthodox religion, and it's very much the same in the occult societies. And of course, you see, there's a lot of egomaniacal people who come from great wealth and great aristocracy who don't want to do that. They're thinking, why should I take off my slippers? Why should I not, throw down my crown if I'm coming into the occult world?
Yeah.
I don't want to be faceless. I want to be acknowledged for who I am. I want to walk on a red carpet. And slowly this is what then happens, is that these people want to use these occult orders for their own aggrandizement.
Yeah. And there is, I don't know if this is fair then to say, but I mean, a lot of other people have done the connection to, I guess we could go in two different areas. First, maybe we can touch upon Edward Bulwer Lytton. He wrote a book called The Coming Race. And do you know if he in any way was involved in Theosophy?
Oh yeah, he was a very close friend of G.R.S. Mead. G.R.S. Mead was Blavatsky's secretary who went on to write lots and lots of interesting books. Bulwer Lytton was, again, a highly aristocratic person who was initiated into some very powerful lodges. So these are people who had many affiliations outside of Theosophy. They also belong to Theosophy. So, you might see Theosophy after their name. Oh, this was a member of the Theosophical Society. And people just leave it there.
Yeah.
What they don't realize is, this person was a member of Theosophy. He was also a member of the Freemasons. He was a member of the Luminous Lodge. He was a member of the Rosicrucians. I mean, is there a lodge in the world that some of these people were not, involved with? But that doesn't mean that now you say that Theosophy is at fault.
Yeah, exactly.
These are people who wined and dined with the queens and the kings. So what would you expect if people have been tracking any of the work that people like myself do? It's almost like it's a redundant question. What would you expect from these people? These are people who are the aristocrats.
Yeah.
I'm always saying, listen, when I'm talking about Masonry, don't be thinking I'm talking about the common or garden lodge on the street. I'm talking about bloodline Masons.
Yeah.
So Madame Blavatsky was no bloodline Mason. She was an ordinary woman, an ordinary girl who studied the great mysteries of life and traveled the world to find out what the secrets of life were.
Yeah.
She's no Bulwer Lytton. These are people who came from the absolute aristocracy, who wanted people like her out of the way. They might have even been very threatened by individuals like that.
Yeah, yeah.
They certainly were threatened by Krishnamurti. I mean, Krishnamurti has many times did talks in front of the United Nations. Do you know that? He actually was called many times to even address the groups with all the presidents
really?
in America were there to listen to his mystical teachings. And you know something? He used to get up and basically scream in their faces what a bunch of evil bastards they were. Oh yeah, he's well known for really hammering all these presidents and these dignitaries at these different seminars that were put on. He got into them about the violence and the corruption that was in their souls and stuff like that. He didn't just bow to them. So he threw he held up a big mirror to show who they were.
Yeah.
And this is not liked by these dignitaries. These dignitaries, they're friends of the Pope, they're friends of the Queen. They don't want some mystical teacher who's independent, who really thinks for himself.
Yeah.
But they don't mind using the name of the order, saying, hey, look at my resume, I'm a member of this order. The Golden Dawn has been slammed in the same way. The Golden Dawn was a very, very sacred organization. But yeah, a lot of negative people joined that, who used it, for their own aggrandizement and twisted it and turned it away from its original mystical, tradition.
Yeah.
And then later on, you have then the third generation, who maybe 50, 100 years later, looking back at all of that, going, "Oh my goodness, look at all those evil, occult fraternities."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because
and then you ask these people, hey, have you ever heard of Athenism? Or the Priory de Sion, or or the Knights Templar? They don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So here they are, yelling at some innocuous order that has really not that much corruption in it, and yet these same people don't know about the real corruption that's in their midst.
Exactly.
Have you heard of Albert Pike? No, what was he? What about Giuseppe Manzini? What about the Bavarian Illuminati? What about the Grand Orient Lodge of France? You want to talk evil societies? Listen, let's start. But it's not Theosophy.
Yeah.
Originally. These things get turned around. It's exactly the same situation as when a great corporation that's founded by a great man, the man dies, and then the corporation, like Disney, for instance, is taken over by any number of different henchmen.
Yeah, yeah.
Each of which have complete power now, but they can also steer the whole thing in their direction. The corporation continues using the same name.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And gets the blame. But wait a minute, you don't know who the brainchild in the penthouse is, who's now turning this particular, edifice to do some very violent and dirty things.
Because it feels like a lot of, as you said, this was a lot of British or English, I guess royalty in that sense, or establishment coming into these kinds of organizations with, I guess, a rising background of genetics and eugenics, and of course Darwinism was also on the rise in correlation with books like The Coming Race and stuff like this. So I guess this was kind of merging together in one single idea and then gradually taking over. Because where I'm going with this, of course, obviously, is that many people have connected Theosophy to be kind of the background to the occult aspects of Nazis or their ideology, basically.
No, it's not. Theosophy got created from the time of Madame Blavatsky and Rudolf Steiner.
Yeah.
And then into the Krishnamurti. But the occult methodologies and the occult philosophies that motivated the Nazis, that motivate the Illuminati, that motivate a lot of the government political bodies has far, far, far predates Theosophy. Anybody who's really done their homework, does not stop at Theosophy. People who have not done their homework, who maybe come into the subject for the first time, they get into it, they read a few books, they spot Theosophy, and they go, okay, there it is, that's the brainchild.
Yeah.
Madame Blavatsky didn't have any money. Her organization was funded by the royalty. She took, donations, and the thing was kept alive. So these royalty who are giving the money, they think they own the club, and they do. It's only a matter of time before they sweep away the great thinker, and they go, hey, we own this.
Yeah.
And Krishnamurti's telling us to, let it all go and follow your own bliss. Hey, we don't want anything to do with that. We like this club. It's great. It gives us a lot of prestige. It's like the Bohemian Grove over there in, America. They love to get together. People will get together for the slightest thing. Well, this royalty, they love this feeling of this mystique and this occult,
Yeah.
But when we're talking about the occult origins of politics, we're talking about Rome and Babylon and Egypt, going back to the cult of Dionysus and the cult of Mithras, through, the Orphites, all the way back to Alexandria, all the way back through the time of the Greeks' colonization of Alexander the Great, into Egypt, and then back into the sun temples of Heliopolis. My God, we're talking, 5,000-6,000 years BC.
Yeah, yeah.
These individuals are venerating Templar icons that, go back to the dawn of time. They're basically rescriptings of the ancient gods Mercury, Hermes. When Druidism was crushed. They crush it, but they take they suck it first dry of its leitmotif. They take the wisdom, and then they use that wisdom. They plagiarize it, just like an author plagiarizes, another man's work. Well, these secret societies are vampires. They have sucked Egypt dry. They've sucked the Phoenician kingdoms dry. They've sucked Ireland dry, you see, of its wisdom and its knowledge, and then they set themselves up in this big bogus, edifice that we call the Roman Church. People don't have to go to Rome to look around. Look at the skulls and bones you see everywhere there, the motifs, the 13 obelisks, all the Masonic symbolism. You see, these are vultures that are perched their edifice over the ruin of the highest cultures that you can imagine.